I'm going to talk you through how you do English Language Paper 1, Question 1. The first stage. Before you do anything, the most important thing is to get familiar with the text. So read the whole text through thoroughly with a highlighter in your hand in case you want to actually annotate anything along the way. Once you've read the text through thoroughly, and that includes the bit at the top that tells you a little bit of information about the text, then look at the different questions, and for each question it will tell you what part of the text that question refers to. I would at this stage mark out the extract, the text that you've got in front of you, and make sure that you know exactly which section of the text is required for each question. Because if you use a bit of information from the wrong part of the text, you will end up losing marks that you don't want to lose. So make sure that you do that next and focus very carefully on making sure that you have the right part of the text for every question. For this one, we're going to be using a paper which contains an extract from Jamaica Inn by Daphne du Maurier. And now to the second stage. Once you've read the whole text through, now look at question 1. What you need to do here for this one is read again the first part of the source from lines 1 to 7, list 4 things from this part of the text about the weather in Cornwall. So what's the examiner looking for? For this paper, English Language Paper 1, Question 1, it's Assessment Objective 1, which is identify and interpret explicit and implicit information and ideas. The second bullet point will not refer to this paper. So what does that mean for you? It means that you need to look for things that are explicitly said by the author in answer to the question. For example, if he were to say it was raining that morning, that's an explicit statement. However, you also need to look for things that are implied or said implicitly by the author. For example, she was walking along the road with her umbrella up due to the weather implies that it's raining without directly saying it. You need to make sure that you choose the right evidence, present it clearly in order to answer the question, and you should write your responses in chronological order, which means that as they appear in the text, you then record them in your answer. So the things that appear at the top of your piece of text will be your first point, and then you'll move down the text to put your second, third and fourth, and so on. It was a cold grey day in late November. The weather had changed overnight when a backing wind brought a granite sky and a mizzling rain with it, and although it was now only a little after 2 o'clock in the afternoon, the pallor of a winter evening seemed to have closed upon the hills, cloaking them in mist. It would be dark by 4. The air was clammy, cold, and for all the tightly closed windows it penetrated the interior of the coach. The leather seats felt damp to the hands, and there must have been a small crack in the roof, because now and again little drips of rain fell softly through, smudging the leather and leaving a dark blue stain like a splodge of ink. So when annotating the text, you simply look through and refer to everything that actually answers the question. So for this one, I've highlighted cold grey day, the weather changed overnight, a backing wind brought a granite sky and a mizzling rain with it, cloaking them in mist, the air was clammy cold, little drips of rain fell softly through. There are probably other things that you could underline, but don't forget you only need 4, so don't waste your time doing hundreds of different ones when actually 5 or 6 will give you plenty of choice for your answer. Once you're sure that you've got the right section of text, in this particular case it's lines 1 to 7, when you're rereading it, make sure that you are highlighting all references to the question. So this question is about the weather in Cornwall, so you're highlighting anything in that section of text that you can find that refers specifically to the weather. You're now ready to answer the question. So write your responses on the lines provided in the exam booklet. Only refer to lines 1 to 7 of the text. You don't actually need to write in full sentences, you can just put phrases. You can paraphrase what's written, i.e. putting it in your own words, or just quote directly from the text, but you must not simply copy out the whole of lines 1 to 7. And this is what your answer might look like. Number 1, it was a cold day. 2, the weather had changed overnight. 3, there was a wind. And 4, it was raining. The mark scheme will give us a list of things that are actually correct. It was a cold day, the weather had changed overnight, there was a wind, there was mist on the hills, the air was clammy, the air was cold, and it was raining. But you can also have other valid responses. So as long as you have answered the question and you've got the information from the source, that list there is not exhaustive. They will accept other points as correct answers. And lastly, remember there are only 4 marks available for this question, so you shouldn't spend any more than 4 minutes on it. Only write 4 responses, don't add extras. I know it's tempting, but actually the examiner will only mark the first 4, so you're wasting your time. Keep it simple. Don't try to overcomplicate your response. It's simple what they're looking for, so don't overthink it.